You are listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 21. Today we are chatting all about motherhood. My guest shares all that she has learned becoming a mother, but also how she manages the demands of a busy, successful career with a new baby, and how she makes time to nurture her relationship with her husband and herself. I definitely have a newfound respect for mothers and all that they do. It is truly remarkable what you are capable of that you may not be aware of. Grab yourself a cup of organic tea and let's get to it. You are listening to Love Unplugged, a podcast focused on love in all its forms. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon, hopeful romantic and founder of Project Love. I found that too often love is set aside or taken for granted, and we tend to forget how to care for ourselves and our important relationships in the day-to-day chaos. So let's slow down, tune in, and begin our journey of rediscovering love. From honest heart-to-heart conversations with real couples and knowledgeable guests to deep dive reviews of new products and services that will help you feel beautiful inside and out. If you're looking for relatable advice or wanting to be inspired by real-life love stories, you've come to the right place. Without further ado, let's get to it. I am honored to welcome Natalie Langston, a successful entrepreneur and accomplished Canadian TV personality here in Vancouver, BC, who has recently begun her journey into motherhood. Today, we're going to learn all about how motherhood has changed her life and her relationship with her husband, how she balances the demands of being a new mom, a career, and a self-care routine. So welcome, Natalie. I am so honored to have you as my guest, and I'm so excited to learn all about your story. But before we start, for those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are.
Well, hey guys, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Jessica. It is awesome. This is actually one of my first podcasts.
Really?
Yeah, so I've been really looking forward to this.
That's awesome. I'm so glad this is one of your first podcasts. I have the honor of doing it with you. That's great.
Absolutely. Now I am an open book, so ask me anything, basically.
So what do you do for work?
So, well, my background is broadcast journalism. So I have a degree in arts, and I also have a degree in broadcast journalism from BCIT. And at the same time, I was reporting for Novus TV. So I was actually one of their youngest television hosts. So I was trying to balance that with school. And then I took on a 3-month opportunity interning at ET Canada. So that kind of got me started. I did go to my uncle's television station in northern BC in high school just to kind of get my feet wet, figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And I definitely didn't want to do the hard-hitting news, which was kind of an eye-opening just so that I could kind of find my path in this whole entertainment, news, media industry. And then... yeah, like I said, even as a young girl, basically a career in reporting was always something I wanted to do. And I actually told my grade 4 class that I wanted to be an anchorwoman. So
really?
It kind of has changed along the way, but the sentiment is still the same. And a career in journalism is something that I've always aspired to do. So yeah, so I've kind of been doing it now for the last 10 years. I worked on Novus TV, reporting and producing a few different shows for them. And then I've gone on to host regular lifestyle segments for Global BC, breakfast television. I'm going on CTV Calgary next week, so a little travel in there as well, which is cool. And then I had a weekly lifestyle feature on JRFM before I got pregnant with Pierce. So trying to balance all of that. And then you go into the print side of it where fitness and health are huge cornerstones in my life. And so I also do fitness and health reporting for BC Living. And I've done that for many years now. And then I've also taken on the lifestyle editor role over at Iconic Concierge, which is a fun kind of outlet for me because it's a luxury men's magazine, and I do a feature focused on what women want, which is really fun.
Wow.
And it takes us to a lot of different places, and Gary and I are able to do some romantic getaways, which is a component in the feature. Mm-hmm. And we're able to connect a little bit more when we do those. So it's fun when your work kind of coincides with your personal life sometimes. And then I also try to merge my journalistic background with my media expertise. And I've been trying to do a little bit more of fitness on the run, living a holistic lifestyle on the run to help inspire and create positive change within our community. And especially as a new mom, it's huge for me to just be able to live fit, like healthy, and be healthy where I can, when I can, basically.
Exactly.
And last year I get to work with a lot of really great brands. I traveled all over the world basically with Saucony Canada as their global ambassador, one of their Canadian global ambassadors. So we literally ran through each city. We did a 5 or 10K throughout each city. It was kind of a really cool way to see each city that we went to. And then halfway through, I was like, I was 6 months pregnant, so I kind of had to take it easy a little bit more, so I couldn't go full board. But it was a huge opportunity and such a great experience. And I love being able to partner with brands like that. And I also work with really great brands like the fashion brand RW & Co., mm-hmm. which is an amazing Canadian company. And then I also, in my spare time, I mean, I don't really have a ton of spare time these days, but I love to work with Dress for Success Vancouver. So they are an organization that help women get back into the workforce, raised by a single mom. That initiative is very near and dear to my heart. And they basically give women the tools to be able to go and get that job or like an interview that they need. And they set you up with a resume, tools and tips, and career strategies, and your outfit for your interview, and just being able to put together an outfit for a woman and see that trust build in them. I mean, it gives me way more than they take sometimes. And you might feel stressed when you walk in the door, but when you leave, your like ego and whatever you were feeling is checked at the door, and you just feel like I know personally I feel a million times more fulfilled once I'm able to work with some of those women. It's amazing. Yeah, so I think that answers your question. I mean, I could go on, but that's the gist of it.
Is there anything you don't do? Holy smokes.
I don't do the dishes.
I don't even have words for everything that you just spilled out there on top of what you have at home. Like,
it is a lot taking care of a house and a baby and another huge baby that is my partner. I didn't expect it to be such a lot of work because I still have my condo downtown. I love my condo, but it is a portion of the size of this house. So different.
Yes.
And keeps me busy, that's for sure. I do have a lot of help, so I'm really lucky.
That's good. You're definitely going to need that. Mm-hmm. I love that you're kind of out of Vancouver a little bit, kind of in the quiet. So that must kind of help you have this peaceful environment to kind of relax a little bit when you can. Absolutely.
Well, that was one of the reasons why Gary and I decided to move out this way and choose a house out near nature. Mm-hmm. It's really hard, I find personally, when I'm downtown to really disconnect and relax, if I ever relax. He says I need to start getting better at that. Something that doesn't come naturally to me, weirdly enough. But anyway, we moved out here, like I said, to just have some peace and quiet, and we love it out here. And it's great being able to raise Pierce out here. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of all came together, which was really nice too.
That's awesome. All right, so I want to start talking about motherhood because it's such a topic that intrigues me and I want to know everything about it.
Do you have kids?
No, not yet. So
Are you thinking
maybe
about
this is preparing me for that journey one day. Have you always wanted to be a mom? Did you have to prepare yourself on any level to kind of go through that journey?
That's a good question. Well, I've always known I've wanted to be a mom. I just didn't know how it would happen or when. I would have liked to have prepared more, just mainly with prenatals. You're supposed to take those at least 6 months prior to getting pregnant, which I didn't do. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy, beautiful baby. Like Pierce is thriving. So there was no issue there. It just felt like for me, my health could have been a little bit more where I wanted it to be, kind of thing. But otherwise, I have always kind of just jumped in head first for every new project or every kind of career opportunity I've had, and learned along the way. And I really feel like being a mom is no different than that. You can read all the books you want. You can talk to everyone, and everyone's experiences are different. And it also depends on what kind of baby you get, because you never know what your baby's going to be like. So I think just adjusting and transitioning with him as he's gotten older is also key. And also don't think too much about it. There's never the best time to have a baby. You can be more ready in certain times in your life than others. But I really think if you're waiting for that one thing to happen, you might be waiting your whole life. So if you just feel ready yourself, I think you should do it. And you can always figure it out along the way. I find there are a lot of sleepless nights, but it's nothing that you can't handle.
Were there any fears that you had before that you had to kind of work through? Was it maybe delivery or, your body changing or kind of worrying about not having enough sleep and how you're going to manage that?
I think that there are always fears on the birth and how that's going to go. For sure, I worried about that. But when I was pregnant, it kind of washed away, and you kind of go into this instinctual mode where you're I just need to do it, and you kind of don't worry as much because the baby's gonna come out. So you better just figure it out and wrap your head around the fact that it's gonna be 9 months. So you also have 9 months where you're preparing a little bit, or mentally preparing as well, which is important too. I think fears, maybe the fact that I was worried how I was going to juggle everything that I do and all my work and be there for Pierce, because I don't just do things haphazardly. I do everything. I give 110%. I put my whole heart into everything that I do. So it is something that I was worried about, and how that would look. But I think I'm managing. So yeah.
Looks like it.
My only piece of advice would be, if you are thinking about having a child, something that I wish I could have told myself, is when you are ready, that's when you should do it. Not when your partner is ready or your family is ready. It's when you're ready, because the one person that it's going to affect is you, and you're the one that has to carry the baby. You're the one who goes through all the hormone changes, hair loss, body changes, and there's a child that's attached to you basically 24/7. And so you really need to decide when it's right for you. And I think that's most important within your partnership, of deciding when the two of you are ready. I wish I had known that, because a lot of it is on the woman and the wife, whoever it is that's staying home. It's mostly on them, and that's fine. I'm happy to, but I just had wish I knew that more so. It was going to be a lot on me, instead of having this ideal image of having it equal, and it's just not. And Gary really is super helpful and he's amazing, but he can't breastfeed him.
No, he can't.
So it's not equal. He can't carry him. He doesn't go through all those changes. You know, they show up and they're like, oh, great, I get a baby. But they didn't go through all those things. Their body doesn't change. They don't have the hormone changes. So, I mean, I think my advice would be, to do it when you're ready, not if your husband is ready, because we got this house and Gary wanted to have this house and I love our house too, but I was more in the career mindset a little bit when we were deciding to have Pierce, and I think had I known, you know, maybe I would have made different decisions, but with that said, I would never change anything now because I have Pierce and he's the most sweetest thing ever. But yeah, so that would be my advice, I think. So that's
really good advice.
You just know that you're ready. Like, your body is at least ready. So anyway.
That's great advice, definitely. What did you learn becoming a new mom?
Ooh.
So what has changed in you from becoming a mom?
Okay, well, that's a good question. I've learned actually a lot. I feel like he has taught me so much that I didn't expect. I've learned how to prepare basically for anything, really. And honestly, it's basically taken my multitasking on a whole nother level. And you're always just anticipating and thinking about the next thing. And I'm like ultra organized now, where I always have been organized, but it's just a whole nother level. You know, you have to anticipate their needs. You have to bring this and that. And, you know, especially with everything I do and traveling and work, and there's just a whole lot of like time and effort and organization that goes into being able to do everything. And I think that's what has taught me, and huge planning and preparing and time management, which Gary has really helped me with, because with his work and his business, that's huge for them. They have to always be right down to the exact minute, organizing their schedule and all of that. So he has been really helpful in terms of that. I also feel like motherhood has changed me in a way of feeling more confident in myself, that I can basically handle almost anything that comes my way. And I feel more confident in myself about doing things on my own too. Like I feel that inner strength that I didn't know that I had. And I feel like I don't need anyone, and I am enough to be able to do it all. And I feel like maybe before I thought that, you know, I leaned on Gary or my mom or, you know, someone else, or to have that reassurance. But to go through everything I did, the birth was quite traumatic. And afterwards, I feel like you trust yourself a little more, you know, and you need to find and look for that strength that you might not have known you had. So I think that's really what has been a godsend and like a super positive change for myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could definitely see how that brings it out, you know, creating a life, like that's insane.
Exactly.
And then delivering that.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard stories, and that's why that's probably the most
my goodness
fear-inducing part of it for me.
Well, then you don't want to know about my experience.
Okay, but let's not go there. But to go through that, like, of course that's going to bring out something like that in you.
For sure.
Like, that's insane what your body can do.
And just to realize what your body can do. And I'm still kind of beside myself when I even just think, like, I'm looking at Pierce and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, we made that, you know? Like, Gary and I just made that baby. And, like, and he's here. And, I mean, I just went about my days like everything was the same, but then one day it's not the same. And you had this whole time this amazing little baby growing inside you, and then now you have them, and it still blows my mind. I know babies are made like every minute, but I don't know. The concept is like, it's crazy to me.
It is.
I'm still obviously adjusting.
I think it will always be kind of mind-blowing a little bit when you really think about it. Like,
they're a little piece of you. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
awesome. So what is something that has changed in your relationship bringing a baby into the world?
Well, actually, I asked Gary about this last night. We were talking about this. It's definitely changed our relationship. We don't obviously have as much time for each other as we used to. And now we have to really make that effort to spend one-on-one time together without Pierce and connect. And, it started with the two of us, and it needs to come back to facilitating that love and connection between us. But I feel like on the other hand, we have become closer and more bonded through Pierce, because you go through one of the most vulnerable experiences of your life. How could you not be connected to that other person? And of course, there has been some huge highs and huge lows between us, and adjusting to being parents. But I think that we're bonded for life now, so it's really brought us closer and more connected, I think, which is, amazing. And I also think that we were both raised differently. We have different experiences. We've gone through different things in our lives to bring us to this point. So we definitely have different parenting views, but compromising and juggling that is key, I think. And just trying to figure that whole thing out together. Blending both of those views it has its difficulties, but I think we're on the same page with the big things. And of course, especially in the first 6 weeks, I was way more on edge towards Gary, because I was the one that was up every night with Pierce, and I felt resentment towards him for a little while, I'm not gonna lie, because he basically sleeps in our guest room every night, and even on the weekend because he snores. So I'm just like, forget it, because I'm not gonna get any sleep anyways. So that has really been difficult to keep that closeness, because we're not in the same bed as much anymore and cuddling, so we have to make more of an effort there. But I had to work through some of those feelings and letting it go, because at the end of the day, he doesn't know how to soothe him. He doesn't know what to do in the middle of the night. We're trying to sleep train him, but Gary's basically like, what can I do to help? And so I had to release those feelings, because it's my job and I need to handle that. And at some point I will sleep. I hope that we can get him sleep trained. We're working with Janie from We Sleep, who is amazing. So she has a new plan for us. So actually in the next few days, my plan is to sleep train him. So hopefully that helps a little bit more. But basically in all of this, my advice also would be just to stay calm. And just take everything in stride. You can only take one day at a time and just learn as you grow. And I give my girlfriend advice, who has just had a baby, just take it one step at a time. Why don't you have a nap, go to sleep? You might feel differently when you wake up and feel a little bit better, able to handle, whatever comes up, and function a little bit more easily. Because sleep is huge. So I know it creates so much more issues and frustrations, and it puts you on edge. Gary, I was home for 6 weeks because I had to have an emergency C-section, and Gary wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. So of course, there is going to be growing pains there to figure it out. So, but I mean, we've come out, I think, on top, and we've come out even better. And I think everything happens for a reason, and it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And I think that keeping that in mind is a little bit easier to kind of feel thankful and grateful for your life that you've been given to.
I wonder, from a man's perspective, they haven't been preparing for the 9 months to become a parent. It kind of just hits, right?
Yes.
And they don't have that kind of maternal instinct that a mother would on how to soothe the baby. So I wonder like how he would have felt, like kind of like, I don't know what to do.
Oh yeah, it took a lot of practice.
I'm here, but I don't know what do you want
Just tell me what to do, basically. Yeah, he is definitely so much better with him now. I remember at first he was really a little uncomfortable holding him because he was so little and Gary has never been around kids that much either. So being an only child and, you know, doing his thing as an adult, he hasn't really had that much practice with babies and kids. So it didn't come as natural, but I mean, he is natural now. Just took a little practice at first, and then he watches what I do and what works, and to like also just try a few different things, see what works, see what doesn't. That doesn't work, so try this instead, you know? And so I actually went to dance last night, and I've started dance up again. I used to dance my whole life, actually, since I was 3, and then I professionally danced for a few years, and so it had been quite a few years since I've gone to dance, and I was really worried about it because leaving Pierce and Gary to do bedtime and bath time together, I mean, I was so proud of him when I got home last night. He got him to sleep, and he was great with him and had no problem giving him a bath. And, you know, I think that he is really being able to come into his own. And now that Pierce is getting a little bit more of a toddler, you would say, I guess, more of a personality, he is able to connect with him. And I think that is helpful for men too, because once they're able to kind of get that reaction or get something back from them, I think it makes it a little bit easier as well. So I think just practice and figuring it out along the way.
So what is something unexpected about parenting that you wish you knew before you had your baby? You're probably going to get into more parenting as he grows up, but...
For sure. I don't know. I read a lot of books, and I have always felt like I've almost been like a second mother to my sister. So I've always had kind of an innate instinct when it comes to that. So I didn't feel like...
It just came naturally to you?
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really feel like I needed to prepare or any of that, you know.
Very fortunate. I know I'm going to need a lot of preparing.
Yeah.
I didn't have any
You just
children.
go with it. Trust yourself and trust. And I got really good at trusting my gut too. You know, Gary or someone else, my mom, my sister can be like, you know, oh, I think he needs this, or, oh, this is what's happening. But as a mom, you know your baby best and you need to trust that. And at the end of the day, I will override them if I feel like that's necessary. And if I feel like, you know, his teeth are really bothering him, it's time for some Tylenol, I'm going to make that call because I'm going to trust myself. And don't doubt that, you know? Like, I used to feel like before I had Pierce, I would just, like, be unsure of myself sometimes. But now I know for sure.
So let's talk about your relationship. So how did you guys meet?
Okay, well, I love talking about this. It makes me so happy. So we met 3 years ago now, in August of, 2016, I think it was. I was with my sister at the time, and she was playing on a tournament for baseball, and she was playing with a girlfriend of hers, and it turns out that Gary was playing on that team. He was actually coaching. He broke his wrist at the time. So he was coaching, but I took my girlfriend, I had told my girlfriend I would babysit for her, her son. So I took him to the field to go and watch my sister. And I was like, you know what, we need to go out and get some air. So I brought her, and then Gary noticed me on the field, but he thought that I was a mom. And so he's like, oh no, I'm not interested in that, but definitely was like looking. So that day I had just decided, I was still living downtown all the time. And I was like, I really want to go out tonight and do something. I was recently out of a long-term relationship, and I wanted to change it up and get out there. And I never go out of downtown, but I wanted to kind of go and do something different with my sister. So we went to the wind-up party. Who's there? Gary. And I was sitting down with my sister, and he started just chatting with me. And then I smiled at him, and then I smiled again, and he came over and talked to me. And after that, the waitress was asking if my boyfriend would like another drink, and this was from your boyfriend or whatever. But anyways, so then it was kind of history from there, and we went out and we hit it off, and he was wanting to take me to Bali that night.
Wow.
We still haven't gotten to Bali, but we definitely are happy with Pierce and
meeting.
And so it was really nice, and kind of met through baseball, and I'll never forget it. It was just supernatural and awesome.
That's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah,
it's very natural.
It was really nice. Yeah.
So how do you balance having a baby, having a career that I don't even know how you do that, with nurturing your relationship? So I know you guys try to make that time to have alone time together, but what does that entail? What do you guys do? Do you guys like schedule weekly date nights, or like what does that look like for you?
Well, communication is key, and it's always a challenge, I find. We're actually in couples counseling so that we can have tools for better communication. And our midwife just said, I think this is a good idea for any couple who has a baby, just so that you guys can get on the same page. And it gives us different ways to approach certain situations, and maybe be open to somebody else's suggestion instead of just shutting it down right away because you might be tired, or just get out of the way, let me do it. And and then just better communication is always important. And like I said, you have a difference of opinions. You might be communicating differently, and that has challenges. So just being in tune with your partner is important, I find. And getting on that same page so that you can work together at the end of the day. Because if you're not communicating, and if there's a breakdown in communication, then nobody's helping anyone, and you're not going to be able to support each other. And you really need to find that support in one another so you can give your baby or kids 100% of you. You don't want to be arguing in front of each other. This is a work in progress for us, I'm not gonna lie, but it has been super helpful for us to just also have respect for one another too, which you also need to have respect. It's not like then you take them for granted, and you get all of that. And I want to find each other like fun. I want to have fun with each other. I want to, be each other's best friend and facilitate that as best we can, So don't be afraid if you do feel like you're breaking down with your communication. Seek help, it's not a bad thing,
I'm
I
totally
think it's super positive. Yeah.
Totally pro counseling.
And like I said earlier, when two different people from two different childhoods and experiences and how they were raised come together, you're going to have two different parenting styles. So working through that is also important, I find, too. We just went on a date night on the weekend on Friday night. We went to a dinner, which we were super grateful for. And then we try to every other week or every week sometimes just do something together. We like to go out for a dinner for sure, or an event. I'll take Gary to, which is always fun. But if that's not the case, then even sometime when I've gotten Pierce to sleep and he's sleeping for a few hours, then we can cuddle and watch a movie maybe. Like, it's few and far between, but we've done this a couple times and it's really been helpful. You know, just even cuddling, you know, just having that closeness.
That intimacy.
Yeah, exactly. So I found that to be really helpful.
So given your whole schedule, how do you make time for yourself in this equation?
Well, I barely have time for myself. I barely have time to take a bath by myself these days without Gary and Pierce come busting in. Yeah, you. On the weekend, actually, I wanted to talk about this. I made a mental note. Gary was away for a bachelor party, and it was the first time that I had some time to really just spend with Pierce by ourselves, where there wasn't busyness of work and housework and you know, traveling and everything else that comes with the summertime and all the new changes as well. Because I'm feeling a bit better now. I had some health problems after I had him. So yeah, it's the first time I actually felt good and felt like, you know, everything can wait. You know, I was on top of the housework, but sometimes you just gotta leave the dishes or the laundry or whatever. And I packed him up and we went out, and we actually, something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I don't know if you like to do this. It was raining. I want to just get a coffee or a tea and go to Chapters, Indigo, and just go look around even, and got some new candles and throws. I mean, throws and pillows are my favorite. I can never have enough. But getting some good books, like I got a few books. I Am Her Tribe by Danielle Dobie, which is incredible. I would highly recommend that, and baby-led weaning and some development stuff for him that I really wanted to read, and a vaccination schedule and all that stuff. Like, there were some things that I really wanted to look for and read, and just getting lost in a book in Indigo, as lost as you can with a baby, is something I've been wanting to do for a while. So I felt like I had that time and space to really take that for myself. Even though I wasn't completely alone, I was with Pierce. We spent time together, and I in turn felt like I really recharged and felt like I did what I was wanting to do, and that was kind of a little bit of a self-care for me, and that I've been wanting to do. And you know what? Ever since that weekend, I have felt more grounded, secure, strong in myself, in my decisions, in my thoughts, in my parenting, my motherhood, everything. Just taking that time for myself. And that book was just what I needed to read at that time. I find just going to Indigo without an agenda sometimes, and just being open to whatever you need, it usually finds you. And that book was exactly what I needed, and it helped me to just have that confidence to find my inner strength and really feel like I can do it, and I don't need anyone's reassurance or opinions, you know? And I have been feeling like my feelings might be pushed aside a little bit, and my heart is kind of at the end always, and it's not, at the forefront these days, which is totally fine. Yeah. But I feel like reading that just helped clarify that my feelings are my feelings, and I'm entitled to those, whether they are ridiculous to somebody else or silly or irritating or whatever. They're still my feelings, and I have a right to those feelings. And just reading that and knowing that, I don't know, it just was like a weight lifted off of me.
Like validating.
Yeah, because my hormones, I'm not gonna lie, have been all over the place. And like any new mom, it's really hard to adjust. I found placenta. I encapsulated my placenta, so that I found was really helpful. And also taking my prenatals regularly, taking my omegas, feeding my brain with good healthy fats, certain things like that with with the sleep deprivation is hugely important. But even with that said, my hormones have still been like a little bit, you know, like it's a huge period for you. Like, how do you feel when you're on your period, right? So,
Exactly.
you know, adjusting to that is important. But I have found that has been difficult, and you have feelings that come up, and being a guy's guy, Gary doesn't always understand that. So yeah, something about that book was super important, and I would totally recommend it to anyone that is, you know, wanting to be more of a strong woman, and it talks about like your like positive great days, but it also talks about the bad and like feeling okay in those days too, and having that time for yourself. And yeah, totally recommend it.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I'll link it in the show notes for sure.
For sure.
So,
and a good bath and glass of wine. I mean,
that
those are
always helps.
good. If anything else.
Just finding wherever you can to have a moment for
little
yourself.
bits of calmness, even like meditating for 5 minutes if you can, or feeling like yourself again. Take your I take my computer, go to a coffee shop, and just get out of the house and like feel like I have a sense of independence and my work is important, and facilitating that is what makes me excited and more happy. And one other thing that was a huge non-negotiable for me when I first had him, and that has been a routine now for us, is we get out of the house every single day. It changes your perspective. It gets you out, get some fresh air. You feel like a person again without days and days of being at home, which you can get lost in as a new mom. So it's something I started doing right when I got back from the hospital. I mean, I couldn't walk too much but with a C-section, but as soon as I could, we walked around just to the end of the street and back, then around a couple more streets, then around the block. And then I was able to, you know, do more. And as time went on, at least we went out, and I've gone to yoga now, running. I've basically gotten back to my routines. I have ab separation right now, so it kind of limits me for certain things, but it is definitely a non-negotiable. And we have the dike out here that is beautiful, a lot of different hikes and trails, and I find that it completely gets you out of any sort of funk or whatever you might be feeling, or maybe you're feeling incompetent that you can't handle all of this. Just literally pack them up. You literally need a diaper and a wipe, maybe a onesie. Get out of the house and just go somewhere. You'll feel a million times better. And maybe put on a little lip gloss, you know?
Yeah. I love that advice. Definitely. Anything will help, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Just feel like yourself. Yeah. And disregard if your husband says you need it or not. Do it for yourself.
Exactly.
Just disregard it. Yeah.
I love that. It's all baby steps, and then doing what you can when you can.
Exactly.
No pressure.
And if you want to wear that red lipstick, wear that red lipstick. If you want to wear that pink sweater, wear it. Whatever makes you feel better. Honestly, that's all that matters. Okay, no baby.
All right. So do you have any last advice for new mothers?
Well, stay calm is huge. I was literally just texting with my girlfriend Natalie last night about her situation, and I was like, you know what? Stay calm, you know? And when you're about to lose your mind, just take a deep breath. And just remember, it's just a season. It will pass. And the funny thing is, whether you get onto a routine or not, whether they're teething and it's so awful, or you're finally getting onto their routine and you're like, I get it now, it's gonna change. And it's only a season and it will pass. So just remember that when you're in the thick of it, that it will get easier. When I was breastfeeding him and all he wanted to do was be held, and I could barely get through the day with doing anything, because I had to hold him for 2 hours sometimes while he napped. And he wanted up and to be on me, and I loved it, but I also was like, I need space and you to be off me. And to do anything like a shower, it was so hard. But now he is a lot more independent. Like when he's teething, of course, he wants to be held, but he's able to explore and go do his thing. And I'm able to now do some emails and have more of my own freedom and life like I used to. And it does get easier. But I mean, sometimes it's really hard when you're in it to
see through
remember that.
Weeds, yeah.
Exactly. But it does get easier. No, Pierce. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel like you need to be the hero. It's okay to ask for help, and no one's gonna think differently of you. And I have a lot of help, and I am fortunate that I do, but I couldn't do what I do without the help. And like I said, for your own sanity, it's huge if you get out every day. Do things that make you feel good about yourself. A massage, a new pair of shoes, get your hair, nails done. At least one thing every day if you can. From the very beginning, like I said, I would pack him up and we would get out every single day. Even just for a coffee and a walk, I made sure to get outside the house for some fresh air and a new perspective. And that's equally as good for your baby too, because if he's being cooped up inside all day, it's not good for him either. He sleeps better. He's a better baby if he's gotten fresh air and just that perspective, and to be able to explore and see the sky and the trees and birds and new things, so that I found is super important. I think those are my thoughts.
That's really good for the baby as well, because he's probably picking up on your energy as well. Right?
Well, exactly.
So
yeah.
If you're taking that time to breathe and to get out and get fresh air and kind of change your atmosphere, he's going to pick up on how you're feeling.
That's even more important when you're pregnant, I find, too. Really? So something that I really tried to do while I was pregnant was stay calm, regardless of what was coming my way and how I was feeling. The end of the day, I had a bath and I just tried to remain calm and not stress out. And I think that helped with his disposition as well. Like, he is such a calm, happy baby and loves to explore, loves to get into everything. But he is... he's calm and independent, and I totally help him and encourage him to create his own independence. But I find if you're stressed out and you're worrying or you're anxious, that is going to affect your baby and in turn your kids, as they get older. So I would try to do that as well.
You can see he's very independent and curious. I love it.
He's into everything.
Happy
he is
baby.
Just like his mom, he has the ever-ready battery, Energizer battery, aren't you? You want to go get into everything.
So, if anybody wants to learn more about you, where can they find you?
So you can go to my website, natalielangston.com, for everything lifestyle, new mom, updates on my work and entertainment, where you can find me next. I'll be on CTV Calgary next Friday morning. I think I'm on at 7:15. We're talking about my Thanksgiving tablescape, which I'm really excited about. I'm in the midst of talking to a few other outlets as well, so you might see me on a few others. And then we are also rebranding, which I'm super excited about. So you'll expect a new website in the coming months, just before our 12 Days of Christmas. We always do a big 12 Days of Christmas campaign with amazing giveaways. It's our 4th year now, so it'll be bigger and better than ever. We're gearing up for a really great holiday season. I have an amazing team that helps me, and I get so excited going into the holidays. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And then also over on my Instagram is also a great place to find me. And I encourage you guys to comment and like and interact and DM me. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome.
What do you have over there?
It's adorable.
It's always funny things in his mouth.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us and to share your story and your whole new perspective on motherhood. It's been lovely. Thank you so much for this chat. It's been great.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that we can talk again soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to www.projectloveco.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another unplugged conversation.